Thank you for tuning into the Natty News Daily podcast. This episode is brought to you in part by our sponsor, Core Nutritionals. You can check out corenutritionals.com for all your supplement needs and use code Natty News Daily at checkout to save 20%. Enjoy the episode.
What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of Natty News Daily. We got the head honchos of the WNBF in-house. We're going to talk about some upcoming shows, maybe touch a little bit about Worlds. Welcome back, guys. It's been a minute.
Thanks. Yeah, we appreciate the platform again.
No worries.
Shows coming up.
For those that maybe don't know who you guys are, quick intro.
I'm Bob Bell, owner and vice president of the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation and a promoter.
And I'm his wife. I'm also an owner, promoter. We're former WNBF pros, and we've been running shows for 25 years.
25 years, eh?
Yeah, this is 25 of the Mayhem and 45 for Hercules.
Damn. That's some lineage.
Yeah. Hercules is the oldest event on our calendar.
It wasn't WNBF that long. It was originally, another federation, but it's been in New York for that amount of time.
Wow. And there's the cat entrance.
And the cat enters the chat. Okay, so let's start with what's coming up. What's the next event on the calendar for you guys?
For us personally, we have an event up in Seattle in just a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Columbia Classic, so that's Katie Wayman White. There have been several in Canada. They roll every weekend.
Canada's been killing it,
and they've been killing it.
Leo and Char have done a really great job the last couple of years, just really building an organization up there.
Yeah,
which you're a part of, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, the shows that they've had running seem to be doing really well so far.
Yeah, definitely back on track this year with their numbers and excitement and things. We've had a couple of international shows. So we had Taiwan and Norway, and Hong Kong was last weekend. It's hard to keep up with those because there's so many of them.
Yeah, for sure.
And then kind of a slow start here domestically. Nancy had one 2 weeks ago. Her Northeast Classic is coming up Saturday. That's a good one. And then he'll go to Seattle, and then we'll be at our Hercules event in the Bronx on June 24th.
All right, let's dive into the Hercules. So big event, big year.
Yeah, I mean, we're still, just like every other organization, trying to, regrow. COVID kind of really, Hercules especially, was looking like a great, typically around the 70, 80, 90 person show. And obviously COVID kind of beat that down pretty good, like it did everybody else's events. So yeah, we're working on growing that show. Like I said, it's the 45th year of that competition. We rebranded just a couple years ago, which was important to us. Charlie Carolla, the former vice president of the WNBF, huge impact on our lives. And when we took over the organization, Nancy was promoting it just because she's in the East. Mm-hmm. And just a couple years ago, we thought, hey, we really want to be more involved with athletes from New York. It's a super deep area for us, which is where natural bodybuilding really did start, was in New York with the former owner of the WNBF. So we really wanted to kind of dive back into the New York feel of things, rebrand Hercules, pay a tribute to Charlie, and then just really kind of market and brand it as an international kind of location, because it is in New York and people do travel from all over the world to come to that annual competition. So yeah, we're excited for this year, and it's just around the corner.
I was going to ask, do you find you get a lot of international talent come to that?
We do. We get Canadians specifically. Yeah. We get some Italians.
Well, we did before COVID. So taking 2 years off is really difficult. And it had been in Manhattan forever. Like he competed there in 98, and it had always been Murray Bertram, that place in Manhattan.
School, which you guys, I'm glad you didn't have a chance to compete there, because everything in New York is old.
And it's expensive. So we wanted to move it out. Nancy has taken Natural Mania to White Plains, and that's in September. That's another WNBF branded show. So we found Bronx Community College, which is really cool. It's the old NYU. And so the buildings are old, and it's just a really cool place. It's kind of hard to get to the Bronx, compared to us Californians, but there's definitely a great feeling there. So we're just still trying to find the exact right spot and hotel and, how we run it and stuff. But last year was really good. People had a good time. The straight through format helps. I think everyone's doing that now. And so you know, you could put a show on the moon basically, and somebody, if they want to compete bad enough, will go. But it's just, you know, we're getting our, like he said, in 2019 it was awesome, and it was really, really off to a great start, and then people lost track of competing, and that's why I'm so proud of Canada and some of our other countries that I don't know, maybe our Americans are just kind of lazy, or they got other stuff to do, but it just feels like it's taken a little bit longer to kind of get back on track totally.
Right. Do you think like anything else besides COVID would have had an impact on that? Because you said numbers prior to that were good, right? So you think it was just kind of the way everything shut down that it maybe threw people off track?
I would say like that, and gyms shut down for sure. And then I will say this as a 56-year-old person, but I think social media did something to people's heads a little bit. Like they only see
we know that everybody's screwed up.
but well, I mean, they only see the best of the best, and so they think that it's impossible to achieve that because every poster has the winners on it, and there aren't like the camaraderie in the gym or as many posing classes as we used to do. And we just did a seminar last weekend, and people were like, and I do this for my real job, why can't I just Zoom it? You know, like I don't want to go over there. Why do I have to get in the car and go over there? So that has changed. And then people only operate on their phones, and I think they get really intimidated. And these two shows, the Mayhem and the Hercules, have a major reputation of having the best, especially the Mayhem. People who win there go on to win world championships. He did a video a couple years ago with, you know, Jeff Alberts and Misha and Moji and Kendall. It's just like on Chrissy Zimjewski and on and on and on of just really, really great champions. And so a lot of people think, even if there is a novice, I'm not going over there. I'm not getting on that stage. So it's true. That's true.
But don't be afraid. Honestly, get on stage. You know, when we hear people say, hey, I can't do that event for 5 years. Guys, don't do that.
No, there's novice.
Jump on in novice classes and experience, get your feet wet, figure out what you got to work on. But you could be dead in 5 years, get hit by a truck. You know, just jump on stage, enjoy the process, and Hercules, you know, East West Coast or the Mayhem in California. Yeah, sweet. Pro and amateur class or no? Masters Pro at Hercules, and then bodybuilding figure, men and women bodybuilding and figure at the Mayhem in Sacramento. Okay. Yeah. So the Hercules is first. So let's go to the Mayhem now. Obviously, like you said, pretty reputable event for talent that comes out of that event. Was it always like that? Yes. The very first year was 53 athletes. Only bodybuilding. 1998. There was nothing else. Jeff and Paul Alberts were, you know, noted natural bodybuilders. Everybody knew they were natural, but there was no place for them really to compete. And so they came that year. Jeff won his class, but he didn't win the overall. Katie Wayman White she's from Washington. The next year, 2000, she won again, only bodybuilding. So it's just always kind of been like that. It just from the very beginning, the Mayhem has been competitive. Obviously, yes, we have age classes and teen and novice classes, and it's a fun event. It's in the summer, it's like a track meet. People put their pop-ups outside, and you know, it's a really, really fun time. But I mean, the first 3 years, you know, we really, even to this day, have a lot of frustrated people that are competing non-tested, and they finally, after I don't know how many years, just give up and just can never crack the top 2 or 3. Jeff was a perfect example, and they came to our stages and did really, really well. You know, really good competitors that just could not win, or they could win their class but never win an overall. You know, with a non-test organization or other poorly tested natural organizations. People were getting fed up with that too. And so, you know, we just offered a really good stage. You know, we promised what we put out there, which is, our first event, the flyers were ridiculous. I wish I had a copy. It'd be really funny to look at it, but we were just like, this is going to be the greatest show, the greatest natural show ever, you know. And there were people that came before us, but we were just excited and we just wanted to make this different. And it really was a great event. And then that continued for, you know, a long time.
Have you always held it at the same venue? Because I know the lighting tends to be very good at that show.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We found a gem big time.
We work there. I mean,
yeah,
we work there.
I work at that
Social
high
district.
school. We didn't really know all the capabilities that it had. We just did a really bad job with hanging banners of all different sizes and shapes and colors. It was just a hodgepodge backdrop. We're going to do a little tribute to an athlete, so we're going to release a video here sometime soon. But you'll be able to see what the initial stages of the Mayhem, or the Capital City is what it was formerly called, what it used to look like. But yeah, the venues has been the same. The lighting's been incredible. We know everybody there. It's definitely an event that will not let down your expectations.
Yeah, having that standard of quality that comes out of that show, right? It definitely kind of holds it on a bit higher pedestal.
Yeah.
People want to be a part of it, I mean, it's just sort of happen. Moji Alua had been winning the Cal and all kinds of events here, and he entered, and that year the 4 men in the overall light, middle, light, heavy, and heavy, Rodney Hilaire entered last minute, coming from New Jersey.
I think we've already told
We told you the
on
story.
one, yeah.
And everybody on stage just kind of looked around and went, oh my. It just came out of nowhere, And,
yeah, we would let them hit a couple poses when she announced them. They'd come out, hit a couple poses. People would be like, they'd clap, and then it would get louder the next person. Then it was louder the next person. And people were just like, holy cow, what is going on here? It was an awesome overall,
Yeah.
like incredible.
Yeah, he's huge. He judged the WNBF Calgary show in October last year. My wife and I went out, and that was the first time I'd ever met him in person. And yeah, he's jacked.
Yeah, his arms are still big. Yeah.
Yeah, he lives up to the big guns name, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so that's what we got coming. That's July 15th. To all the athletes, which you were going to find out, please get your applications in.
Yeah.
It really helps if you get stuff in ahead of time instead of waiting for 2 weeks out from the show. So you being a promoter, you're going to be like, can everyone just get their entries in so we can really start organizing more?
Yeah.
But
how's turnout for that typically?
It's good. Yeah. And there's always internet. You look at recently, Marvin, Brian, a lot of international people are coming along and wanting to be part of it, which just really makes it clear how small the community is, that people, know one another. And now Marvin is started his own. He's WNBF Macau. So that part of it is definitely fun too. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of ringers coming that I know of right now, because I process the entries, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, the last few years we've had a lot of international people win. So, a lot of our athletes want us to add pro bikini and physique, but we just really don't have any here to on stage. Typically, people compete regionally, so for us to have a really strong base, it would be great, but we just don't have them. And lots of international people that win this.
Is bodybuilding typically the bigger class there for you guys?
Bodybuilding is strong here and at Hercules. I will say that they're very, I don't know why, just sort of male driven events. Maybe that's the heritage. Maybe it's,
I was going to say, it's probably like the lineage and stuff like that, like for someone to win the Mayhem as a, bodybuilder, win the overall at Muscle Mayhem, like that's legit, right? Because of the history that it holds.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Ace is doing it again, which will be cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a few social media messages, people hitting us up. But yeah, I hope we'll have a good pro turnout. It was really kind of a bummer last year, but even with non-tested orgs, you were seeing one athlete show up for the pro class. So hopefully that won't continue. That's always tough.
Yeah.
What's happened recently that we've been talking a lot about is, I think with COVID in 2020 and in 21, so many people moved their events to the fall to be sure they could have them. A lot of them have then stayed in the fall. And so it's so heavy in September, October, November, that we are really trying to change that mindset back, because some people, for whatever reason, don't want to compete then, or, like in Washington, a later show is kind of harder because they can only go out to the lakes, for a little bit of time in the summer. They don't want to be on a diet, something like that. But we are really trying to reset the calendar, which has been very challenging. We're adding a couple of shows ourselves. It'll be more April, May next year to try to just reset that, because a lot of people, especially with qualifying, will also wait until right before
Yeah.
Worlds. They want to go to
100%.
Worlds, so they'll just qualify at something in September, October. A few people hang their hat on that and then they don't qualify, because not if you're a pro, you just have to do a WNBF event to be qualified for Worlds. If you're an amateur, you have to make a placement. And so there were several people that it was kind of sad last year that they didn't actually qualify. But from our experience, what has happened with the international piece, WNBF Worlds can't be a bucket list. That one can't. It's just you have to qualify. All of our international teams are bringing the heat. And so, you know, we had to raise our domestic requirements to qualify a little bit higher. And so with that and with the calendar, the fall shows are just heavier.
Yeah, and you guys see that the international component, you know, they're really strong. I mean, it's more competitive elsewhere than it is here. And the more affiliates that we've added, you know, you're starting to see less and less US champions.
Oh,
So
for sure.
at some level, you know, I'm kind of saying let's get it together, people. and you know, honestly, I mean, I'm just you guys kind of know how I feel about our athletes competing non-tested. Stay here, compete with us, make the stages great, make them big, make it more you know, let us offer more prize money, but you have to help us. Athletes have to stay and compete with us instead of jumping all over the place. I understand competing regionally, competing in your backyard. I totally get it. But you know, when the WNBF, you know, offers you that stage, tests you two different ways, tests you on the off season, and then you go to untested organizations who really don't care about you. And once you win there, you'll never do well. Stay here. You're hurting the sport. You do damage to the sport. And you send a message to other aspiring people that are looking at you being up here as a pro, you know, world champion or whatever it is. And you're basically telling them, just go do whatever you want, you know? And so sometimes, you know, we feel like we work hard to establish promoters and international affiliates and spend more money than any organization. I guarantee you, we spend more money on drug testing than anybody, and we can prove that. So we are giving back to the sport, keeping it drug-free, making sure those stages are, you know, a level playing field. And we want you to compete more with us. Make our events, make our organization better than everybody else, and communicate with other pros like that. And hey, let's get in a chat with 15 dudes and go compete on one stage and blow people's minds. You know, why can't we do those things? You know. Yeah. Sorry, that was off topic, but you know, when you're feeling it, you're feeling it.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll ever get remedied, right? There's so much in the sport. Like, you know, we were talking off air, so many different organizations and federations and world champion this and pro this and pro that. And, yeah, you know, it's, you know, for some people, like, I mean, for me, for clients, right? Like clients come to me, they're like, where should I compete? What organizations should I compete with? Like, I know of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And, you know, I can give my opinions and from my experiences. But then you times that by thousands of athletes, and you know, there's no wonder why there's so much diversity, and you're getting some shows with 30 athletes, and then some shows with one, and some shows with quality and some with none, you know what I mean? And even different countries and stuff like that. Like you said, like, you know, internationally, a lot of talent, like especially like Europe and UK, like those guys are, some of them are on another level.
And Taiwan and Korea, and Hong Kong. Hong Kong was last weekend. He had 150. They look alike, and they are, especially their symmetry, their physique. V taper, boy, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I think South Korea was, you know, over the 100s. Hong Kong was 300 plus, I think. Taiwan was
Taiwan was 400,
just over 400,
and they test everyone polygraph for 3 weeks. No joke.
Yeah, everyone's tested, and then they do lots of urine testing also, which is really, really great. Some of our organizations test top 3, which is, you know, awesome. It's expensive, and but yeah, with the Southeast Asian countries, you know, it'll be, I think the bantamweight class is going to look really interesting in a few years. It's going to be insanely competitive.
Yeah.
But the other issue is there's so many organizations in all these countries also that,
Right.
you said earlier, that call themselves natural, and they're really not testing either just a little bit or not at all. If you have 300 or 400 people in an event and you test the winners of the overalls, you're really sending in 4 urine samples. Really, that is not what we're about. And then we have to want them to get here to compete at Worlds to really see that world stage. It's yeah.
It's a tricky, right? I think it's a battle that natural bodybuilding will always face. I don't know if that'll ever go away, to be honest, which is tricky for those that are, by the books naturally, right?
Yeah, it won't. But that's a good segue into Worlds, which is in Seattle this year.
Yep.
We had originally wanted to put it back in Boston, but we just fell on this really, really great venue, which is Katie's event, her Columbia Classic Pro-Am. So I'm going to preview that for Worlds in June, which is in just 2 weeks. So that's really, really awesome. And we have hotels that are super convenient. The venue is literally just a couple exits from SeaTac International. So from the time you fly in to you get to the venue, you're set. You can stay there. You don't have to go anywhere. Tons of Ubers, every other service there is. So it'll be a little different than LA because it won't have the weather component, but
it's
Seattle's
easy.
amazing.
It's really easy.
It is, and the theater is awesome. It'll be a great experience. The lighting is phenomenal. So all of those things will be covered.
And it's 2 days, so that's going to be better for athletes as well. So these people who are international, that last year we gave out, I think, 12 pro cards, and 8 of them were not from here. So those people that win a pro card on Saturday can compete as a pro on Sunday. And in my estimation, they're ready. So that will be great for that experience.
Yeah,
to travel so far.
Yeah, so I mean, all the athletes that from the U.S. If you don't know that, it is a super pro qualifier. So that's for everybody. So amateurs from all organizations, if they come here to compete as an amateur from Italy or Spain or Germany, wherever it's from, they can have a chance to win that super pro qualifier also. So as long as we meet specific numbers for bodybuilding, it's 8 in each class. That's a pro card, and then they still get to bang it out for the overall and then compete the next day, which would be brutal. I think, to compete back to back, your legs and your lower back would just be.
Yeah.
If you're on a world stage, you're pretty psyched. If you came from a long way, I think
hopefully the adrenaline takes over at that point.
Yeah, and a big massage afterwards. But when we're at Worlds, we give people a moment. If I'm head judging the pros, I'm going to make you hold your front relax, and we're going to really get a good look at everybody. So we really want to make it fair. But yeah, the best of the best are definitely there, and I hope you guys can come and see it.
No, it's amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to see. Definitely sounds like it's going to be quite the event.
Yeah, and then we will be back in Boston next year. So this is kind of a pre.
Okay.
No one knows that really yet.
But we are.
Yeah. So we have some of the details getting finalized. So that's awesome, and then after that, we'll see. I'm not really sure where we're going to go after that. We may go somewhere warm.
We want to have 4 places that we can rotate to.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
There.
1 cold and 4 warm or something.
Yeah, I'll line up my flight when it's warm.
Yeah, Sam Okanola sends me a message and says, "I don't think I'm coming to Worlds if it's in a cold location." I was like, "Come on, man."
It's in Chicago.
But he basically said, "I'm older and my joints hurt." I'm like, "I get it. I'm older than you." Understand?
Yeah. Amazing. I love it. Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate you coming on, sharing a little insight to what's coming up for the WNBF calendar. I know those watching are probably jotting some notes down, that's for sure.
Yeah, so they can, anybody can go check our naturalmusclemayhem.com website out for the applications for Hercules and the Mayhem, and then definitely follow our social media. We'll get some more posts out for champions from last year and just try to get everybody excited. And
I guess it's a good time. We have another Mayhem that's going to be in Los Angeles in November, on November 4th. So that's going to be the last stop to qualify for Worlds. We're bringing back the LA Muscle Mayhem. It's actually in Ontario.
Yeah.
Have some support from a couple of different groups down there. And I'll keep it quiet right now, but there's going to be another Mayhem next April or May. Somewhere else, somewhere warm.
Yeah.
You got to bring something good April, May, close to the border here so I can shift some clients down.
It's not warm though. You said warm.
Yeah,
This
well,
one's
In May, it probably would be.
yeah, May's tolerable.
tolerable.
Tolerable. Yeah, you guys, I see you in your garage when it's, I don't know, 5 below outside. But when I see you train like that, I go, man. So I have an industrial heater in my garage that if it's under 70, I turn that
Yeah,
thing on.
yeah.
I like it.
Oh
And
man.
May is tough. I would say the Kings have a pretty good lock on May for you. They're killing it up there.
Yeah,
Living-
it's all out west. If you could just get us little drive down to upstate New York, Buffalo area, that'd be easier than convincing my clients to fly out to British Columbia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are people in the Northeast, are they ready in April, May? I mean, are they on a diet January 1st? Or is it
Well,
just
most of my for my clients, for example, if anybody's competing in spring, like we usually start November, December.
yeah.
and then do you give them like a cheat meal for Christmas or whatever, stuff like that? Or
Yeah, don't be an idiot on Christmas, but enjoy time with family. Usually
Yeah.
the closest show at Christmas is like 16 weeks, 17 weeks. So if they want to go have turkey dinner with family and stuff, it ain't gonna hurt them. But I like to start a bit earlier so we're not losing any ground if they have some more pie than I would advise.
yeah, we honestly we don't have people out here that are aching for a spring event. They just
We're
Yeah.
outside all the time. So the only time you're inside,
Right.
is Christmas. So that's one of the reasons in California that the spring shows aren't as easy. But April and May, we've got to get back on that calendar where there are options for people all through the year. We need
For
to do
sure.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, people. Well, you
Awesome.
heard it there
Thanks-
from them.
thanks again.
No, I appreciate it, guys. If they have any direct questions for you guys specifically, where would they contact?
The
Just-
Mayhem website or even the WNBF website, that's the
Okay.
secretary. That's me. So
I would
I
just,
get
I
all
would
of
just
them.
email. It's WNBF@worldnaturalbb.com. But they
Okay.
would be able to get a hold of us anywhere. I mean, they can send social media messages too. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, people, you heard it there. If you
Awesome,
guys
guys.
need to
Thank you.
get in touch, then hit them up. If you guys enjoyed this episode, give it a like, subscribe for future episodes, and we'll see you guys in the next one.